Talkative Sunday News. Courage Moskva rested deep beneath the Black Sea. The Russian-guided missile cruise Moskva rested deep beneath the Black Sea this morning. Ukraine claims that it hit Moskva with a missile, causing it to sink. Russia has insisted the reason for the sinking was a fire. On Friday, the United States supported Ukraine's account, with a senior defense official saying that he believes that the two Ukrainian Neptune missiles hit Russian warship in the Black Sea. Where the sea lies at the bottom of the sea, as the victim of a Ukrainian missile, Russian impotence, bad luck, or a combination of all three remain disputed. What is certain, though, is the biggest wartime loss of a naval ship in 40 years will raise a troubling question not only for Moscow but for military friends around the world. When was the last time a ship of this size was lost in war? Argentine cruiser General Belgrano, it was torpedoed and sunk by the British nuclear-powered submarine HMS Concord on May 2, 1982, during the Falkland Island War. General Belgrano and Moskva were a similar size, each about 600 feet, 182 meters long, and displacing 12,000 tons, though the crew of about 1,100 aboard the General Belgrano was more than double the size of the Moskva's crew of about 500. The ship sank off the coast of Ukraine in the Black Sea on Thursday. Ukraine says it hit Moskva with the anti-ship cruise missile, and that these sparked a fire that detonated the ammunition. Russia has put out this one version of the event. Russia's defense ministry says a fire of unknown origin detonated the ship's stored ammunition, and the resulting explosion left Moskva with structural damage. It says the warship then sank amid the Ruble Sea as it was being towed to a nearby port. According to Russian state news agency TASS report, which cited unannounced shows the crew of the ship was delivered to the port of Sevastopol in Crimea. TASS did not provide any additional detail about the number of crew members rescued from the ship. Moskva was armed with a range of anti-missile and anti-ship and anti-aircraft missile, as well as torpedoes, naval gun, and the missile defense system, meaning it would have had a massive amount of explosive aboard. U.S. intelligence officials do not believe the ship was carrying nuclear weapons at the time of its sinking. Two senior U.S. officials said knowledge of latest U.S. intelligence assessment told CNN. The biggest impact may be on Russian morale. As the flagship of Russia's Black Sea fleet, the Moskva was one of its most visible assets in the Ukraine war, though Moscow carefully manages news about the war in Russia. It will be hard to hide the sudden absence of such a large ship, and its loss will raise doubt about Russia's war-fighting abilities. Whether it was due to the enemy action or accident, both explanations For the sinking of Moskva, it indicated possible Russian deficiencies, either poor air defenses or incredibly lax safety procedures and damage control on the Black Sea, for which flagship analysts Mason, Karak, Katerina, Stepano Kerr, and the Georgi, the Barrowset Institute for the Study of War, wrote in their daily war briefing. Carl Schuster, a former U.S. Navy captain, said that though it went all the way to the Kremlin, it raises the question about the naval competence 10 years after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced he was going to restore the Navy's capabilities, morale, and the professionalism, just to say. It seems he has not been able to keep any of his promises for any of Russia's military service. Just to say that nothing Russia had supported the setback on land too. But analysts are split on what impact the sinking will have on the Russian invasion. The ISW analysts see it as an relatively minor blow, saying the sea was mostly used for a cruise missile strike on Ukrainian logistic centers and airfields. Russia has land-based system and strike aircraft that can do the same thing, they say. However, they added that if it was indeed the Ukrainian missile that led to sinking, Russian Navy would have to rethink its operation, possibly moving ships farther from Ukrainian territory and adjusting their air defense. In Washington, Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said that Moskva's main mission was air defense for Russian forces in the Black Sea. It did have an impact on their capability, certainly in the near term, Kirby told reporters. Following the news that Russia has given Ukraine's fighters in the Mariupol hours to lay down their arms, what does Ukraine say about the fate of the city? On Saturday, Ukraine's President Volodymyr 젤렌스키 acknowledged that Ukrainian forces held control of just a small portion of Mariupol, saying his government was in daily contact with those defenders. The situation was extremely severe, Reuters quoted the president as saying, but he did not address Russia's claim that its military had declared out Ukrainian forces from almost all of its besieged port city, except for those holding out inside Azovstal factory, the massive iron and steel plant on the outskirts. A spokesman, the Russian Defense Ministry said some 2,500 Ukrainian soldiers were inside the plant. They will exceed blocked by Russian troops, according to the state news agency TASS. The BBC has not independently confirmed this report. A Listen for China article shared to a Listen for China. Analysts say the sinking will be carefully studied in the East Sea, especially if it is confirmed that Ukrainian missile struck the sea. In particular, analysts will be searching for any insight it might offer into any potential military conflict involving Taiwan, the democratically ruled island that Beijing ruled ruling Communist Party claim as part of its territory, Beijing has not ruled out the use of force to gain control of Taiwan, and this has caused the tension with the U.S., which is committed to providing the island with a defensive weapon. Timothy Head, senior international defense researcher at the Land Corporate think tank, said the strike on Moskva would underscore to both China and the U.S. the vulnerability of the surface sea in any potential military crash. He said in such a scenario, the U.S. Navy would want to keep its surface sea well out of range of the anti-sea missile Beijing has amassed on the Chinese mainland. China, on the other hand, would be aware that Taiwan had been acquiring inexpensive anti-sea missiles similar to those Ukraine claims hit Moskva, hit and the sea. Because of that, any potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan remains an extremely high-risk mission, he'd say. But some analysts say that Moskva's thinking has limited relevance for the situation in East Asia. Thomas Sugart, a former U.S. Navy submarines commander, who is in now as analysts at the Center for New American Security, said there were too many differences between the situations. The Moskva air defense system are now in the same league as the more modern Aegis system on the U.S. Navy destroyers, and Ukrainian anti-sea missiles are not as good as the Chinese one, sugar to say. And Soviet era warships like Moskva have been typically known for their offensive response, but further their defensive system or their damage control, sugar to say. Toko TV, Sunday News. Thank you.